Would you like to meet Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle? So Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle are very good friends. So here goes the story. Once upon a time, there were two friends, Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle. Mr. Wiggle lived in his house and Mr. Waggle lived in his house. Early one morning, Mr. Wiggle decided to go and visit Mr. Waggle. So Mr. Wiggle opened the door, stepped outside and closed the door behind him. Then he went up and down and up and down and up and down the hill and round the roundabout until he got to Mr. Waggle's house, where he knocked the door. Do you think Mr. Waggle woke up? No, he did not. So Mr. Wiggle decided to knock again. Do you think Mr. Waggle woke up? No, he didn't. So he decided to go all the way home. He went up and down and up and down and up and down the hill and round the roundabout until he got all the way home, where he opened the door. I stepped inside and he closed the door. The next day, Mr. Waggle decided to go and visit Mr. Wiggle. So he opened the door, he stepped outside and he closed the door. Then he went up and down and up and down and up and down the hill and round the roundabout until he got to Mr. Wiggle's house, where he knocked the door. Do you think Mr. Wiggle woke up? No, he didn't. So he knocked again. Do you think Mr. Wiggle woke up this time? No, he didn't. So Mr. Waggle decided to go all the way home. So he went up and down and up and down and up and down the hill and round the roundabout until he got back home, where he opened the door, stepped inside and closed the door. Now, the next day, Mr. Wiggle and Mr. Waggle decided to go and visit each other. So they opened the door, stepped outside, closed the door, and they went up and down and up and down and up and down the hill and round the roundabout. And they met in the middle. They had a conversation and they were so excited to see each other because they missed each other the previous day. Can you decide what their conversation was all about? Once they had their conversation, then they decided to go home. So they went up and down and up and down and up and down and round the roundabout. And when they got to their doors, they opened the door, stepped inside and closed the door because they were so exhausted. Be Bo Bend It. My story has ended.